It's Monday, August 17th, 2026. Kyle Schwarber leads baseball with 37 home runs. Junior Caminero, Matt Olson, and Yordan Alvarez are right behind him at 35, all tied for second. Four guys are separated by 2 home runs with 6 weeks left. The last time the home run race was this tight, this late in the season, was 1982. That's the third most interesting thing happening in baseball right now. And that's where we start. The standings don't lie. The box scores don't either. I'm Pete Dwyer, and this is the division line from the Baseball Nerd. 6 divisions, 30 teams, in one weekly breakdown of what the numbers actually say. This is episode 21. Thanks for being here. Let's take a quick jog through the standings because it's getting wild. August is halfway over, and crazy things can happen. Milwaukee leads all of baseball at 77 and 48. Tampa Bay is right behind at 74 and 49. The Brewers swept San Diego this week, then took 3 of 4 from the Dodgers. That Milwaukee-Los Angeles series is worth noting because those two teams are very likely to see each other in October. In the AL East, Tampa Bay leads by 5.5 over the Yankees. The Rays got swept by Baltimore this week, which is the kind of thing that gets called a blip. We'll see. The Yankees are 69 and 55 and still firmly in the wild card. In the AL Central, the White Sox are up 5.5 on the Tigers. Chicago dropped 2 of 3 to Cincinnati, then swept Detroit. The Tigers are out of the division race. For now. That could change this week, and it likely will. In the American League West, Houston leads by 2.5 over Texas. The Rangers are 61 and 64, and not a great September story setting up for either team. Every team in the AL West division has a negative run differential. And the team with the best differential is firmly in third place. That's bananas. In the National League East, Atlanta 74 and 50, 7.5 up on Philadelphia. The Dodgers are 74 and 51, 7 up on San Diego. The National League wild card race is the race. The Cubs are in by 5, then the Phillies, Padres, and Arizona are all tied for second and third. The Phillies and the Padres are tied for the second spot. Arizona is 1 game back. 3 teams, 1 spot, and 6 weeks left. This is going to be a loud September. So, when it gets loud, is it the closer that comes in to quiet things down? Pick a night. Any night this season. Somewhere in baseball, a bullpen blew a lead. And the next morning, somebody wrote it up. Tough bullpen night. Tough decisions you have to make. Some version of that quote from some manager after some loss. It happens so often it's become background noise. I wanted to know if it was actually true. Not vibes true. Box score plus everything under it true. Across the whole league. Not one bad week for one team. So I pulled every reliever in baseball with a real sample this year. Looked at leverage index, inherited runners, how often a guy gets yanked before finishing an inning. Stuff plus and location plus split apart instead of blended into one grade. Then I laid all of it next to saves and blown saves. I found some things, and I have some questions. The first question: is the trust based on performance or who's left standing? Kyle Finnegan leads all of baseball in blown saves this year. 8 of them. That's the top line of MLB's own pitching stats page. Almost nobody has asked why. His FIP minus sits at nearly a third worse than league average. He's getting saves and holds at a real leverage index north of 1.3. and then giving them back. But this isn't a story about a GM who can't read a spreadsheet. Kenley Jensen got hurt. Will Vest scuffled out of the gate. Finnegan didn't win the ninth inning on merit. He was the only guy left when the music stopped. And the walks that were hiding under a decent ERA early in the season are the same walks showing up in blown saves now. 28 of them in 50 appearances. That's misuse by attrition. It's a different animal than misuse by bad math. But both end the same way on the scoreboard. My second question: what do the underlying skills say, independent of the save column? Aaron Ashby in Milwaukee, some of the best raw stuff of any left-handed reliever in baseball this year. His stuff plus score is north of 119. Top shelf swing and miss stuff. His location grade is 92, below average, a walk rate near 12%, 0 saves, 5 blown, 10 holds, and half the runners he's inherited have scored. This is the swing and miss trap. A team looks at strikeout stuff. Correction, re-record in 3, 2, 1. A team looks at strikeout stuff and assumes that's the whole scouting report. But command is the gate everything else walks through. Ashby is the clearest example in the league right now of a bullpen trusting the pitch over the pitcher. My third question: does the role match the man? This is the Washington problem, and it's not one guy. By the time I finished pulling the data, it was 5. Richard Lovelady gets pulled before finishing an inning 68% of the time. That's a matchup reliever's usage pattern. He's a one-hitter guy. But his average leverage index is 1.94, which means Washington is throwing him into bigger spots than almost anyone in baseball not named closer. 53% of his inherited runners have scored. PJ Pullen is in the same shape. He's got a quick hook rate, over 46%. His leverage index is over 1.4, with half of his inherited runners scoring. He has more walks than strikeouts on the year as a full season reliever, or reliever with more walks than strikeouts. Gus Varland, not Louis Varland, Gus Varland has a 6.82 ERA as a reliever and an average leverage index of 1.7. That number should belong to somebody with an ERA that starts with a 2. Clayton Beeter has 12 saves, real high leverage track record, and he's let 34% of his inherited runners score and sits 6th in baseball in blown saves. And Mitchell Parker, 1 save, 5 blown, a 6.58 ERA in 22 games, a 57% inherited runner scored rate. That's a terrible number. Washington isn't misusing one pitcher. They've got a season-long matchup arm problem and a season-long trust the wrong guy problem running at the same time in the same bullpen. No other team in baseball shows up this many times. My fourth question is: where's the command ceiling? If you strip away every advanced number, the traditional stat line tells the same story. Varland's 1.83 whip, Pullen's sub-1 strikeout to walk ratio, Finnegan with 28 walks in 50 games. None of this needed StatCast to find. It's sitting in the box score under an ERA column nobody reads closely enough. Command is the ceiling, not the stuff, not the resume, not who got the ball last year. When the walk column and the leverage column go in opposite directions, these are the results that you start to see. Now I'm going to argue with myself. The full league data actually complicates the easy version of tonight's premise. Across every reliever in baseball with a real sample, average leverage index and blown save rate move in the direction you'd want over a full season. The higher the leverage a pitcher is trusted with, the fewer meltdowns he tends to have relative to shutdowns. Get into some numbers and stats. A correlation of roughly negative 0.7. That's strong. It says teams, on average, over 6 months, mostly hand the ninth inning to a guy who deserves it. So if the claim is teams don't know how to build a bullpen, that's wrong. Most of them do. Most of the time. But there's something sharper to this. The season-long averages hide a nightly fade mode that happens constantly. Injuries, fatigue, and unavailable arms force a manager into a real-time substitution. And the replacement almost never has the same track record in that leverage as the guy he's replacing. It's not a team being dumb. It's the sport's whole margin for error collapsing to zero. On a schedule, every single day, for 6 months. Washington has built their whole depth chart out of pieces that are mismatched for the leverage they're getting on non-emergency nights, too. That's the deeper version of the same problem. So what do we leave with? Not all bullpens are broken. The season average can look fine, while the nightly margin stays razor thin. Command plus leverage is still the read for why any single night goes bad. And it goes back to those quotes. Tough bullpen night. So games that matter this week, there's 3, and they're actually series. The Braves and Brewers starts on Thursday. Atlanta 74-50, Milwaukee 77-48. 2 of the 4 best records in baseball. This is your NL Championship Series preview if both teams hold their leads, and right now, both are holding. Yes, NL Championship Series preview. The Braves at Twins starts on Monday. Atlanta opens on the road in Minnesota before heading to Milwaukee. The Twins are 60-65 and out of it for now, but the Braves are setting up their rotation for Thursday. Watch who pitches. The Blue Jays and Rays starts on Tuesday in the American League East. Tampa Bay is 5.5 up on the Yankees, but just got swept by Baltimore. Toronto is 61-65. Not necessarily going anywhere, but the Rays need to answer that sweep. And let's see what their response is going to be this week. Command plus leverage. That's the whole read. Not the save total, not the ERA, not who got the ball last year. It happened last week. It'll happen again this week. In somewhere you're not expecting it. And when it does, ask which one of those 2 broke first. Because usually, it only takes one. That's the line. New episodes are every Monday morning. Please like, follow, and share. Subscribe to the Baseball Nerd on Substack. Subscribe to the Baseball Nerd on Beehive. Standings and box scores are always live at thebaseballnerd.com. And I'll see you next Monday.